survivors, to my allies, and all those ready to grow, even when this shit is uncomfortable. We are getting in it today. My face is extra red. I am pumped because today we're going to talk about something that takes us a long freaking time before we begin to realize this particular thing, something that's so powerful. It catapults our journey into another level. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought, I should be further along by now in my healing? But healing doesn't look like a motivational quote over a sunrise. It doesn't look like journaling one time and suddenly becoming emotionally fluent. It doesn't look like posting growth on Instagram and calling it closure. If that worked, y'all, we'd all be healed by now. Done. Okay? Amazon would sell trauma-free Prime delivery, okay, to 2-day shipping. Boom. Done. But we all know that's not how it works. How about this? Have you ever looked at another survivor and thought, why does their healing look better than mine? Or maybe you told yourself, if I was really healing, I wouldn't still get triggered, or I wouldn't still feel angry, or I wouldn't still miss them. Today, we're going to talk about all that, and we're going to talk about what healing actually looks like. We're going to break that down. We're not going to break down the social media version, not the soft lighting and journaling by a window television version, the real version, the no BS version, the one that includes setbacks. It includes grief. It includes growth that feels uncomfortable as hell. The very one that includes a whole lot of self-blame. And of course, the one that does not always let you recognize how much you've already accomplished. Because healing isn't about becoming untouched by your trauma. It's about becoming less controlled by it, one day at a time. And today, not only are we going to learn about what healing actually looks like, we're going to look at some signs, get this, that might finally help you recognize that you are already healing, and you may not even know it. So let's get into it. This is Walk With Me. So, what does healing actually look like? Let's start here. Healing does not mean the trauma never affects you. Research in trauma recovery from people like Dr. Judith Herman and Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who are two of the most well-known figures in modern trauma research, shows something very important. Trauma changes your nervous system, okay? So healing isn't about erasing what happened. It's about building capacity. What does that mean? Capacity, or the ability to feel without collapsing, to remember without reliving. That's a big one. How we connect without panicking, and how we can disagree without completely disassociating. Healing looks like catching yourself mid-trigger instead of 3 hours later. Apologizing when you react from old pain. Setting one boundary instead of 0, right? Leaving one unsafe pattern instead of staying in 10. Feeling grief without running back to chaos, to what we thought was normal. Guys, it's not flashing. It's quiet, but it's quiet strength. Yes? And here's something people don't say enough. Healing isn't linear. I know you've heard me say this, but we're not saying it enough. Neurologically, trauma recovery works in waves. Progress, regression, integration, repeat. Did you get all that? Progress, regression, integration, repeat. You might have 3 great weeks. I'm on top of the fucking world. Then one hard night, And that one hard night makes you doubt absolutely everything. But in time, you eventually realize you handled it differently than you used to. This, my friends, is healing. Healing is progress in reaction time. Old you triggered, react, regret. Healing you triggered, pause, choose, reflect. That pause, my friends, that pause is growth. Now let's look at what healing does not look like. Okay, let's dismantle some of these myths out there because healing does not look like never being angry again. You're done. Or never getting triggered. You forgive instantly. Everything's okay. Being calm all the damn time. Cutting off emotion. And all of a sudden, because you're healed, you've just become positive about everything. Everything is good. Everything's okay. Healing is not an emotional numbness. That's not what that looks like. It's not perfect. It's not spiritual bypassing. And it's sure as hell not pretending. Okay? It's not just posting quotes while still drowning privately. It's not a facade. This is very important, guys. Healing does not mean reconciling with someone who harmed you. Forgiveness is optional. Safety is not. I know that we talk a lot about having to forgive those. Let them be, let them go, to forgive. Forgiveness is sort of a state of mind. In your mind, if you feel like you have to throw that out there, I forgive the person, if that's something that's part of your healing journey, then I believe it's important. If you feel you need to do that, or if you feel like you need forgiveness from somebody who you love, that you feel you couldn't protect. I went through that. I felt like I had to apologize to my mother and to my sister for not protecting them. Granted, I was a kid, and later in therapy, I was made aware that those expectations were way too high, but for some reason, I just needed to hear them say, I forgive you. I actually got them on the phone one day and made them. I prefaced the conversation with, I'm about to ask you for forgiveness for something I know deep in my heart I shouldn't have to apologize, and you guys are going to disagree with me for apologizing. Can you do me just one favor? Bypass all that and just say, I forgive you. So sometimes forgiveness is in the equation. Sometimes we do need that, whether it's us forgiving them in our minds or out loud, us receiving forgiveness, something like that. But forgiveness is optional, especially when it comes to forgiving the person who hurt you. I want to be clear about this. Safety is not optional. Why do we get confused about healing? Well, it's easy. Culture sells healing like a glow up. But real healing is actually neurological. It's your nervous system learning safety through repetition. It's just like any other thing that you do in this world. Any other task or goal or career that you want to be in and be really, really good at. Every good mentor will tell you the same thing. Do that over and over and over again. You've heard of things like the 10,000 hour rule. If you do something 10,000 for 10,000 hours, you become an expert. It's repetition. Your brain is forming new pathways through practice. It's making your body believe, slowly at a time, one day at a time, that I'm not in danger right at this moment. Right now. That shit takes time, guys. Okay, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I would never tell you, if you listen to episodes 375 and 2, you'll be healed. That's not what this is about. This is about starting the conversation. This is about encouraging you to understand this is possible. We'll get into that. Let's talk more about the neurological aspect of this. Studies in neuroplasticity, which is the ability for the brain to form and reorganize synaptic connections or signals, show that repeated safe experiences literally reshape neural patterns. Did you hear that? Safe experiences repeated over and over and over again. This is the same science behind habit formation, athletic training, leadership development, entrepreneurship. Repetition rewires. This isn't something we just made up, guys. This is in the books. Everyone's using it. Trauma recovery, athlete, everyone is using this. Healing uses the same mechanism. The difference? The stakes feel personal. Yes? What does healing feel like in real life? Let's make this kind of practical, okay? Healing looks like going to therapy even when you don't feel like talking. Done that, or saying, I need a minute instead of escalating something. Walking away instead of proving your point. I must stay and prove my point. Or missing someone who hurt you, but not going back. See? Because you will miss that person, but you don't have to go back. How about choosing boring stability over chaotic chemistry? That one's a tough one to get into, but it looks like grief, okay? Because healing often means mourning who you thought someone was, not mourning someone. Do you understand the difference there? You believed in this person. The abuse didn't start from day one. Connection did. Relationship did. Trust. And it spiraled away from there, but you believed they were still that person from the beginning. And when you're healing, it looks like your identity begins to shift. Because trauma has shaped parts of you that now need updating, like a computer. It's old. It's dated. It looks like choosing growth when stagnation feels easier. Stagnation feels easier. The old habits feel easier. The old everyday feels easier, even though it was full of trauma. Here's the hard truth. I guess truth is always hard. I'm not sure that I like saying this is the hard truth. Truth is always hard. So this is the truth. You will always carry something. Healing is not the absence of scar tissue. It's learning how to move. It's learning how to move without reopening the wound. You are not trying to become untouched. You are becoming regulated. You are becoming aware. You are becoming intentional with everything that you do. One day at a time, one action at a time. And here's the part I want woven into every episode moving forward. You will never be fully healed. None of us are. In healing, there is no finish line. It's a new relationship with yourself. And hearing that, I don't want you to think, you'll never be happy, because happiness doesn't come from being fully healed. It comes from progress. Every day progressing, every day doing something just a little bit better than you did yesterday. It comes from purpose, from knowing you are moving forward, even if it's 1% at a time. Because stagnation kills joy. Growth, progress, purpose, it fuels it every single day. So let's talk about how we can measure healing the correct way. Let's be practical. Instead of asking, am I healed yet? All of us have done it. Or maybe it's just me. But instead of asking that, let's start asking real questions. Do I recover faster? Do I recognize patterns sooner? Did I choose differently this time than I used to in the past? Do I feel or do I recognize respecting myself more? And do I tolerate less harm? This growth is measurable. You can see that in real time. You may have to give yourself a little more credit than you're willing to do at times, but it's there. You're doing it every day. Professionals often describe healing as increased tolerance for emotional discomfort without losing regulation. What the hell does that mean, you're asking me? Translate. You can feel hard things without blowing up your life. That is strength. So let's talk about signs that I want you to start looking out for and start truly recognizing and giving yourself props for signs that you're actually healing, even if it doesn't feel like it. Okay? Some of these I may say, and you go, well, I do that, but I don't feel like I'm healing. Well, the hell you're not. You are. You absolutely are. Give yourself some damn credit. 4 signs. 1, you question behaviors you used to justify. Instead of justifying it, you go, that's not right. You're already questioning it. Sign number 2, you take responsibility without collapsing into shame. Now you're starting to say, hey, yeah, I did that, and I apologize for that. Or however it is you deal with it, and you don't feel completely selfless for having made a mistake. Sign number 3, you pause before reacting. How do I want to react in a way that my nervous system doesn't go haywire? And that is the segue to sign number 4. You want peace more than power. That is growth. All right, let's slow it down. Because some of you are healing, you don't even realize it. And while I'm trying to pump you up here, I do want to make sure you understand that train of thought is dangerous. Because if you don't recognize your growth, you'll think you're failing at something that you're not. These 4 signs aren't a motivational fluff, guys. They're patterns. They're patterns trauma therapists actually look for when assessing your recovery. Not perfection. What is your capacity? So let's go through these one by one. Okay? You question behaviors you used to justify. I know we went to it in a little bit, but let's dive deep. Old you didn't question. Old you said, that's just how I am. They made me react like that. It's not that big of a deal. Everyone argues like this. Okay? Those are justifications. Healing begins the moment curiosity replaces your defensiveness. When you start asking, why did I react like that? Where did that pattern come from? Is this actually healthy? And here's the most important and most powerful one. You ask yourself if you want to actually keep doing this. Is this the way I want to continue to react to things? That question right there shuts that cycle down. It interrupts your nervous system. And what you should recognize is that these new questions you're asking yourself are not weak. They are not weakness. They are cognitive flexibility. Big words, but they're just your mind being a little bit more flexible with how you react towards things. Psychologists will actually tell you the ability to reflect on your own behavior instead of automatically defending it is the major indicator of emotional growth. This is huge. You're reflecting on it now. What do I like? What don't I want to do anymore? Trauma often locks people into rigid survival patterns. Healing reintroduces choice. Let me give you a real world example. You snap during an argument, or you automatically begin to blame yourself. But instead of doubling down, you later think, this wasn't about this moment. This was about something older. That single thought alone is healing. It is you beginning to question old habits. Number two, you take responsibility without collapsing into shame. This one is huge. Before healing, you made a mistake. You did this whole shame spiral. Then you went into self-hatred, defensiveness, and then we did repeat, rinse and repeat, right? After healing, mistake, accountability, repair, move forward. Less steps because you're healing. There's actual research around this distinction, guys. Shame says, I am bad. I am a terrible person. Accountability says, I did something that wasn't aligned with who I want to be. Shame keeps people stuck. Accountability builds resilience. I talk a lot about accountability when it comes to masculinity, but accountability goes everywhere and helps build people's growth. That is the foundation of it. Therapists call this secure self-concept. You can acknowledge wrongdoing without your identity shattering. Mistakes, my friends, are okay. Again, in the business world, in athletics, in entrepreneurship, in everything you watch, social media, the news, classes, events, what do they teach you mistakes are? An opportunity. That's all they are, an opportunity to grow, if recognized. If you take responsibility for them. If you sit back and go, this is what I didn't like, this is what I did wrong, how do I move forward? Secure self-concept. And it doesn't have to destroy you, it should pump you up because you recognized it. Another real world example of that. You say something harsh instead of, well, you started it, or I'm just terrible. I'm a terrible person. You say, that wasn't okay. And I'm sorry. And you mean it. That is not small. That's emotional strength. You are healing. And I know some of you, that clicked with you. Oh, I did that last week, but I don't feel it. No, celebrate it, damn it. You're healing. You're on your journey. All right, the third one was you paused before reacting. This one might be the clearest neurological sign of healing. Trauma wires the brain for speed. Quick reaction, right? But healing builds space. The pause is everything. Yes? Old pattern. Trigger, explosion. Shut down, regret. Now, in the healing pattern, trigger, you notice it, you pause or breathe, and then you decide. But that pause might be only 3 seconds. But those seconds represent nervous system regulation. Your prefrontal cortex engaging in this decision and increased emotional tolerance. Translation? Your brain is literally rewiring in real time. And here's the part survivors tend to miss. I know I did. If you're reacting 20% less intensely than you used to, I realize that's hard to figure out what percentage less, but we're using a low number of 20%. That's healing. You're healing. If your recovery time is shorter, that's healing. If you notice the trigger, while it's happening, not 5 hours after. That's healing. For instance, you feel yourself getting heated. Things are happening around you. You feel it, you're getting upset. You excuse yourself from a situation, from a group. You sit back and breathe. Maybe just 3 seconds, maybe 3 minutes. Then you come back and you're calm or calmer, depending on how heated the situation is, right? This is mastery building. And I'm freaking proud of you because I know a lot of you have done this in some capacity. Let's move to the fourth one. You want peace more than power. This one is subtle, but it's profound. Trauma often creates control strategies. Power feels safer than vulnerability. Winning feels safer than understanding. Being right feels safer than being connected. But healing tends to shift those values because you start asking, is this worth my nervous system? And maybe not those words, but subconsciously you're asking yourself this. Maybe it sounds more like, is this really worth me thinking about this or engaging or getting into it? Another question would be, do I want to win this particular discussion or do I want peace? Sometimes you just go, okay. It's weird. It feels like you're giving up on this great debate that you'll realize later was absolutely pointless. But you chose peace. And another question is, do I want control of this particular situation or do I just want connection? The shift, any of those, is emotional maturity. Researchers in relationship psychology consistently show that secure individuals prioritize connection over dominance. The quiet ones, the ones that don't feel like they have to prove everything, sometimes you just let it go because you don't need to prove yourself every time. You're trying to preserve your own state of mind. That is healing. You could escalate. Why? What is that going to prove except get you going? There might be a point for you to prove. You might have that gotcha moment. Gotcha. Ha 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 ha. What for? You could actually win an argument sometimes or believe that you can. But instead you say, this isn't productive. Let's pause. I know many people will tell you, oh, that's weakness. It's not. It's regulation. It's security. It's healing. It's strong. That makes you so strong. And I'm proud of you. Before we get to the end here, I have to go on a rant because I want to make sure that it's completely clear what I'm attempting to do in these episodes. And I want you to understand what my intent is. First off, this is the title of my mission statement. Nothing about healing is impossible. I believe all of you can endure this journey. I believe all of you can be happy. And I believe you can love your life fully after trauma. Every single one of you. Notice something, please, that this does not mean I think this is easy. I know it's not. So please don't ever believe that that's what I'm trying to sell to you. Something being obtainable versus something being easy are two completely different conversations. We're only having one of them. Healing is obtainable, not easy, not even close. And I need to say this next part carefully. I'm not in the blaming business. Yes, there was a time in my life when I blamed everything, my past, my upbringing, what I saw, what I experienced, until I realized something very hard. And I realized this very late in life. Blame did shit for me. It did not move me forward. Blame kept me emotionally stuck in rooms I had already physically left. Now listen, naming what happened matters. Acknowledging the harm matters. Calling it what it is fucking matters. Some of you were dealt a bad hand. On the other hand, some of you were dealt a terrible hand. Here is the pivot. Here is what I want to make very clear. Your past, while it may explain you, it does not get to steer you. Moving forward, real healing requires rebuilding your relationship with accountability. That's where it begins. Not with shame, accountability. Control what you can control. Interrupt your own patterns, refusing to let your history become your identity. Here is where I repeat myself. You will never hear me say this journey or any part of it is easy. I know that it's not. But at some point, we have to stop only analyzing the wound and start doing the work that builds strength around it. Don't ignore the struggle. Face it head on. Because confronting what scares you is what turns you into someone who cannot be stopped. A force I believe is within all of you right now, waiting to be unleashed. Here's the part, people, we're not talking about. Change your algorithm. Right now. Do you know how on social media, it feeds you more of what you engage with? If you watch rage content, you get more rage. If you click fear, you get more fear. If you scroll victimhood, you get more victimhood. Your brain, my friends, works the same damn way. What you rehearse grows. What you focus on expands. If your internal algorithm is currently replaying, I'm broken, this ruined me, I'll never be okay, guess what shows up more? Ask me how I know sometime. Ask me how I know that's true. But when you start engaging with what can I control today? What small win did I just create? What boundary did I just hold? What line did I hold strong? Your nervous system, man, it starts building a different feed. I want your feed to be filled with power, strength, emotional security. Healing is not pretending nothing happened. I don't want that for you. It's retraining what you give power to, and that takes work. But this is work that will build your freedom, your state of mind, your happiness. Try it on social media first. If you want to change the majority of the feeds that come up when you're sliding through those TikToks or those reels, go to the search and look up something completely different from what's on your feed. Then click on a couple of those videos and like them or engage in them, and then start seeing what comes up on your feed more. That is you building your freedom. That is you changing your algorithm. And I know every single one of you can do it. Great talk. Okay, today, the challenge/insight. This week, I'm going to ask you to do something a little different. Instead of asking, why am I not healed yet? Because we're going to start understanding that's not a thing. We're going to start asking, how am I stronger than I was last year? Or a few months ago? Or yesterday? Write down 3 ways you've grown or you do things differently. Not perfect changes, guys. I don't want anything that you feel has to be, that's not quite perfect there. I haven't quite gotten there yet. You're doing something different. And that's what I want you to write down. These are examples of growth. Real examples. Maybe you left an argument sooner. One time, you left it. How did that make you feel? Maybe you don't beg for the bare minimum anymore. Your expectations are a little bit higher, so you're like, I'm moving on. Maybe you finally blocked that one person on social or on your phone that continuously kept your algorithm in the negative. Maybe you signed up for therapy 2 months ago, but yesterday you went. You didn't talk much, but you went. Maybe for one situation or one happening or one day, you stopped blaming yourself. That's good shit right there. Here's the deeper challenge. Catch one moment this week where old you would have reacted differently. Pause, notice it, and say that shit out loud. This is growth. Then if you want to, DM me, email me. Tell me what that moment is. I want to celebrate it with you. Because your small win might be someone else's proof that change is possible. Because I can sit here and rant about it all day. That doesn't mean I'm going to convince you guys overnight. It's going to be over and over and over again. But maybe it isn't me. Maybe it's somebody else who shared their moment of triumph, their moment of recognition that healing is already happening. I love it. All right, let's talk about our fashion time this year. It's a little bit stronger. It's grounded. You ever try on clothes that used to fit that don't anymore? Too small, too big? Not because something's wrong, but because you changed. Healing is like that. You outgrow identities. You outgrow survival modes. You outgrow chaos. And sometimes you keep trying to wear an old version of yourself because it's familiar. But healing is realizing I don't live there anymore. There are survivor-led brands and trauma-informed designers that talk about clothing as reclamation, about dressing in ways that feel safe or strong or expressive, not necessarily performative. The shift from dressing to hide to dressing to express, that is powerful. Healing doesn't erase your past. It changes how you carry it, just like fashion. So I suggest if you are interested in learning more about these designers, you Google trauma-informed designers, a ton will come up. Okay, maybe you'll find something you like. So as we close today, we know that healing is not pretty. We know that it's brave. We learned it's slow. We learned it's uncomfortable. But the most important lesson of the day is that we learned it's possible. You, regardless of where you are in your healing journey, are not broken. You're certainly not broken because you still struggle. You are growing inch by inch, percent by percent. It's not linear, but it's real. Please remember, you don't need to be fully healed to be worthy. You don't need to be fully healed to be fucking proud of yourself. Celebrate those little wins because they are huge. Just keep moving. One step, one pause, one choice at a time. Progress creates purpose, and purpose creates happiness. That's what this is all about. Make room for this progress. Make room for purpose, and please, please, please make room to be freaking proud of yourself. Because no matter what anybody tells you, that is healing. And I want you to celebrate that. Nothing but love. And until then, you take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the path. Thank you so much for walking with me today. If this episode resonated with you, visit the website at walkwithmepod.com. motivationalpod.com. You'll find resources and links to support organizations that may be helpful to you or someone you care about. You can also connect with me on social media. All the links are on the show notes and our website. And if you feel compelled, reach out. Your reflections, questions, and stories are always welcome. And some may be shared in future follow-up episodes with your permission, of course. If you believe in what we're building here, please take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps the message reach more people who may need it. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, consider sharing this episode with them. That's how this walk continues. Until then, take care of yourself. Psst, this part is super important, my friends. I want to be very clear about something. I am not a licensed therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, or a medical professional. The content shared on Walk With Me is based on personal experience, research, education, and lived perspective, not professional or clinical advice. This podcast is intended for educational, reflective, and community-based conversation only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health care, medical treatment, legal advice, or crisis intervention. If you are in immediate danger, experiencing a crisis, or need professional support, please contact emergency services or a licensed mental health professional or a trusted support organization right away. Resources and hotlines are listed in the show notes and on walkwithmepod.com. Listening to or participating in this podcast does not establish my therapeutic, professional, or client relationship between you and I. My goal here is to open conversations, challenge harmful patterns, and offer insight and hope. But your safety, healing, and care deserve qualified, professional support when needed. Please take care of yourself